Imagine waking up 100,000 years ago. There are no cities, no houses, no weddings, no rings, no promises, no husbands, no wives, just small groups of humans trying to survive another day. Every sunrise is a battle. Every sunset is a victory. In that world, nobody asks, "Will you marry me?" They ask a much simpler question. Will we survive until tomorrow? Yet somehow, over thousands of years, humans created one of the most powerful institutions in history: marriage. But why? If animals can reproduce without marriage, why couldn't humans? If love is natural, why did we need rules? And if marriage is about romance, why did it begin long before poems, flowers, or diamond rings ever existed? The answer is far stranger than most people imagine. Because the first marriage was never about love. It was about survival. Millions of years ago, our ancestors lived very differently from us. They traveled constantly. They hunted together. They gathered fruits, roots, and berries. They slept wherever they found safety. Every day was uncertain. Food was never guaranteed. Predators were everywhere. Life was short, dangerous, and unpredictable. In that harsh world, having children was incredibly risky. Unlike most animals, human babies were born helpless. A baby deer could stand within hours. A young chimpanzee could quickly hold onto its mother. But a human baby needed constant care for years. Couldn't walk, couldn't hunt, couldn't even feed itself. Raising one child required an enormous amount of time, energy, and protection. Nature had created a problem. As the human brain became larger through evolution, babies had to be born earlier so they could safely pass through the mother's pelvis during birth. That meant they entered the world before they were fully developed. They survived only because adults protected them. One parent simply wasn't enough. Imagine an ancient mother carrying a baby through the African savanna. She needed food. She needed water. She needed shelter. She also needed to watch for lions, snakes, and rival tribes. Doing all of that alone was almost impossible. Now imagine another adult staying nearby, helping collect food, protecting the child, watching for danger while the mother rested. Suddenly, the child's chances of surviving became much higher. That simple partnership changed everything. It wasn't called marriage. There were no ceremonies. There were no rings. But something important had begun. Humans slowly discovered that staying together for longer periods gave their children a better chance to survive. Evolution noticed. Families that worked together raised healthier children. Those children lived longer and eventually had children of their own. Over thousands of generations, stronger family bonds became more common. Survival was quietly shaping human relationships. But don't imagine ancient humans living like modern couples. Life was far more complicated. Different tribes lived in different ways. Some formed long-term partnerships. Others had more flexible relationships. There wasn't one universal system. Human behavior was constantly changing as people adapted to different environments. One thing, however, remained true almost everywhere. Children survived better when multiple adults helped raise them. This is one of humanity's greatest hidden advantages. Humans didn't just raise children. Humans raised communities. Grandparents shared knowledge. Older brothers protected younger siblings. Aunts, uncles, cousins, and friends all played important roles. Survival became a team effort instead of an individual responsibility. Very few animals invest so much time into raising their young. Humans do. That investment changed history forever. Then another problem appeared. As human groups became larger, relationships became more complicated. Imagine living in a tribe with 50 people. Who belongs with whom? Who is responsible for which children? Who shares food with whom? Who inherits valuable tools? Who protects whose family? Without clear expectations, conflicts became inevitable. Jealousy appeared. Competition increased. Arguments became dangerous. A single fight inside a small tribe could weaken the entire group, making everyone more vulnerable to starvation or attack. Humans needed stability, not because they wanted romance, because chaos threatened survival. Slowly, customs began to appear. Some tribes encouraged long-term pair bonds. Others created simple traditions to recognize partnerships. These weren't weddings like today. They were survival agreements. They reduced conflict. They increased trust. And most importantly, they gave children a more stable environment. Something extraordinary was happening. Marriage wasn't invented overnight. It evolved. Generation after generation, humans kept experimenting with different ways of living together. The traditions that helped groups survive lasted. The traditions that created conflict slowly disappeared. Nature wasn't choosing the strongest humans anymore. It was rewarding the strongest communities. This changed everything. For the first time, success depended not only on hunting skills or physical strength, but also on cooperation, trust, and long-term commitment. The tribes that mastered these skills grew larger. They shared more knowledge. They protected more children. And they slowly spread across the planet. But if marriage wasn't created for love, where did love come from? Was love simply an accident? Or was it another survival tool designed by evolution itself? The answer begins with a tiny chemical reaction inside the human brain. One that would eventually change the future of every civilization on Earth. Love feels magical today. Songs are written about it. Movies celebrate it. Entire industries are built around it. But millions of years ago, love had a very different purpose. It wasn't designed to create romance. It was designed to keep two people together long enough to raise a child. Deep inside the human brain, evolution created powerful chemicals like dopamine, oxytocin, and vasopressin. These chemicals rewarded trust, attachment, and cooperation. When two people formed a close bond, their brains encouraged them to stay together. This wasn't an accident. It was nature's solution to humanity's biggest survival problem. Children who grew up with stable caregivers had a much better chance of reaching adulthood. Over thousands of generations, those stronger family bonds became one of humanity's greatest advantages. But love alone wasn't enough. As humans spread into new lands, another revolution completely changed the way people lived. Around 12,000 years ago, humans discovered farming. For the first time, people stopped wandering from place to place. They planted crops. They raised animals. They built permanent homes. Villages slowly became towns. Towns became cities. And suddenly, humans owned something they had never truly owned before. Land, crops, houses, wealth. This changed relationships forever. Imagine spending years growing food on a piece of land. Naturally, you would want your children to inherit it. But who exactly were your children? Who owned the land after you died? Who protected the family's resources? Society needed clear answers. This is where marriage became much more than a personal relationship. It became a social agreement. Communities created traditions to recognize couples. Families became connected through marriage. Property stayed within families. Children received protection. Cooperation became easier. Marriage wasn't simply about two people anymore. It became the foundation of society itself. Different civilizations developed different marriage customs. Some arranged marriages through families. Others allowed couples to choose each other. Some cultures accepted multiple wives. Others preferred one lifelong partner. The traditions looked different, but the goal remained surprisingly similar. Create stable families. Protect children. Reduce conflict. Strengthen communities. As civilizations grew larger, marriage became connected with religion, culture, and law. Weddings became public ceremonies. Promises became sacred. Breaking those promises carried serious consequences. But beneath every tradition, the ancient purpose remained the same: survival through cooperation. This is why marriage exists in nearly every civilization throughout history. The ceremonies changed. The clothes changed. The languages changed. But the human need for stable relationships never disappeared. Even today, modern science continues discovering how deeply those ancient instincts still influence us. Humans naturally form emotional attachments. We care about loyalty. We experience jealousy. We protect our families. We celebrate commitment. These emotions didn't suddenly appear in modern society. They were shaped over countless generations of evolution. Our world looks completely different today. We have technology, hospitals, airplanes, and the internet. Yet the human brain still carries many instincts inherited from ancient ancestors who lived around campfires beneath the stars. Every time parents sacrifice for their children, every time families support one another during difficult times, every time two people build a future together, They are continuing a story that began tens of thousands of years ago. Marriage has changed many times throughout history, but its deepest roots remain surprisingly ancient. It began as a practical solution to one simple problem. How do humans give their children the best possible chance to survive? That question quietly shaped civilizations, transformed cultures, and helped build the modern world. But one mystery still remains. If marriage was originally created for survival, why do so many people today believe it exists only for love? The answer reveals how one ancient survival strategy slowly transformed into one of humanity's most powerful emotional traditions. Over time, marriage slowly changed. It was no longer only about survival. It became part of culture, religion, tradition, and eventually love. Today, many people believe they marry because they have found their soulmate. But if we travel back thousands of years, our ancestors would probably find that idea surprising. They didn't wake up searching for romance. They searched for food, safety, shelter, a future for their children. Love was valuable because it helped achieve those goals, not because it was the goal itself. That doesn't make love less meaningful. In many ways, it makes it even more extraordinary. Evolution created the ability to form deep emotional bonds because those bonds helped families survive. Over thousands of generations, survival slowly transformed into affection. Affection became commitment. Commitment became tradition. Tradition became marriage as we know it today. But here's something fascinating. Even after thousands of years of civilization, our ancient instincts never disappeared. We still want trust. We still fear betrayal. We still feel jealousy. We still protect the people we love. Those emotions aren't weaknesses. They're echoes of a world where losing your closest partner could mean losing your chance to survive. Modern life may look completely different, but the human brain still remembers its ancient past. That's why relationships can feel so powerful. They're connected to instincts that have been evolving for hundreds of thousands of years. This also explains why marriage looks different across cultures. Some people marry through family traditions. Others marry for love. Some never marry at all. Every society has created its own version based on its history, beliefs, and values. But almost every civilization recognized one important truth. Stable relationships create stronger communities. Stronger communities create better chances for future generations. Marriage wasn't a random invention. It was one of humanity's greatest social technologies. It helped strangers become families, connected tribes. It reduced conflict, protected children. It allowed knowledge, property, traditions, and culture to pass from one generation to the next. Without those stable family structures, many of the world's greatest civilizations might never have existed. So, why did humans start marrying instead of simply mating like other animals? Because humans weren't trying to become better at reproduction. They were trying to become better at survival. Marriage gave children more protection. It gave adults more cooperation. It gave communities more stability. And over thousands of years, that stability helped humans spread across every continent on Earth. The next time you see a wedding, remember that you're not just looking at a modern celebration. You're looking at the latest chapter of a story that began around ancient campfires long before history was ever written. A story shaped by evolution, survival, family, and hope. A story that transformed small groups of hunter-gatherers into the civilizations we know today. Marriage may look like a symbol of love, but its roots run far deeper. Hidden beneath every ring, every promise, and every ceremony is an ancient survival strategy that quietly changed the future of humanity forever. And perhaps that's the most incredible part of all. The institutions that define modern life weren't created overnight. They were built one generation at a time by ordinary people making extraordinary choices in an unforgiving world. Every family that stayed together, every child that survived, every lesson passed from parent to child slowly shaped the human story. We often think history was changed only by kings, warriors, or inventors. But history was also shaped by mothers protecting their children, fathers sharing food, grandparents passing on wisdom, and families choosing to stay together despite the hardships around them. Those quiet decisions became the foundation of civilization itself. So maybe the greatest human invention wasn't the wheel, fire, or even writing. Maybe it was the simple decision to build a family that could survive long enough to create a better future. If you enjoyed discovering the hidden history behind everyday life, Subscribe and join us as we uncover the forgotten stories that shaped humanity, one mystery at a time.